What's up, guys? Matt Brown here, TheLines.com, and we are back, baby. It is NFL season. I cannot wait. Real football here, 2023 season. We're going to be doing it all season long right here on the channel. Absolutely free. If you were just now finding us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comment section what you want us to do this NFL season. But listen, it's going to be me here for all the standalone games. We're going to be doing this for obviously the big season preview as well. So we certainly want to get that in there. I mean, listen, me and Steve and Adam are going to be back for all of that, plus all the other great content from all the other awesome content providers that we're going to have here on the channel. So, man, just be here. It's free. So go ahead and sit back, relax, and let's make some money this season. It is Thursday Night Football. It is the opening kickoff. It is a game. If you look over here, this is your screen, and it's going to be between the Lions and the Chiefs. So we go right here. Boom. Very easy. Click that odds tool. Whenever we click the odds tool, it's going to pop things up. And this is Major League Baseball. We'll just click the NFL. Boop. And then we can take a look and compare everything. That's the money line. Of course, you can do the blend. I like to do the blended so that you can see the spread and total in the same view. So here we are. Let's see. 4.5, pretty much the prevailing number. There is a 5.5 here at FanDuel. 53.5 seems to be the total that we are looking for in that one. So listen, it's a game in which we're a couple of uncertainties, right? It's going to be Travis Kelce. It's going to be Chris Jones, the big stories heading into this thing. Travis Kelce most likely not going to play with this injury that he got at hyperextended knee there on Tuesday. And then we're going to look at Chris Jones, who's holding out. And so, Chris Jones, the number one graded interior defensive lineman by Pro Football Focus last year. So his absence is big. It's really, really huge. And I don't think people are really paying enough attention to that as they enter this game. Of course, if you look at Travis Kelce, I don't have to tell you how awesome he is, but just for comparative purposes, if you're wondering, Travis Kelce, 152 targets last year. He caught 110 balls. The next closest guy was 78 receptions, which was Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's out of town. He's gone. The next closest guy after that was Jerick McKinnon, a running back, who had 56 catches. If that tells you anything about the big-time loss that Travis Kelce will be. Now, filling in for him is Noah Gray. Noah Gray was actually decent when he was out on the field. He just didn't play very much because, hey, it's Travis Kelce. But he had 34 targets and caught 28 of them. He was actually the fifth leading receiver by receptions on this team, if you can believe that. But Noah Gray likely to get some run if Travis Kelce can't go. Listen, if you look at all the guys on the internet, the doctors and stuff that are coming out, insiders getting word that it does not look good for him to be going here. As you saw, I just clicked on the NFL tab up here. You can go to Thursday Night Football preview. We got a full preview here of everything that's going down if you guys want to take a look at all that. For me, a couple of interesting things when we're trying to break down this game. And really, I guess I should tell you, if you weren't paying attention, Jameson Williams also suspended for this game for the Lions, gambling. So he's gone for the first 6 games of the season. What kind of impact is Chris Jones not being out there for a team in the Chiefs that were actually 18th in the NFL against the run, according to Pro Football Focus last year, and that's with Chris Jones out there? They were 16th rush EPA against with Chris Jones out there, so now he's not going to be out there most likely. And so can't be any better, right? Can't be any better than that. So we're getting a bottom half run defense. And the Lions went out and not only drafted a running back in Jahmyr Gibbs, but picked up one in David Montgomery as well. This is one of the best offensive lines in all the NFL, is the Lions. If you didn't know that, that is the truth. I expect them to be able to have some success on the ground in this game. I really do. And with that, kind of leads me to the play. Now, if you're wondering what I'm looking at from this, I mean, look, full transparency, this thing had gotten as high as 6.5, right? And with it getting as high as 6.5, I pulled the trigger on the Lions. That was because I thought this whole Chris Jones thing wasn't going to play out, and I thought that maybe they could keep this thing a little closer. Well, the Travis Kelce thing hit, and then now the number plummeted. I think 4.5 is about appropriate. If this number dips, though, below 4, before kickoff, whenever Travis Kelce is officially ruled out, might be time to come back in on the Chiefs. But I got 6.5 on the Lions. I don't think 4.5 is playable on either side. I think it's appropriate. From a total aspect, the 53.5 or even 54, I have a pretty decent lean towards the under in this game if Kelce doesn't go. We just mentioned of all the production that is going to be gone, right? I mean, with him not out there, it's a ton of production. You're going to have to rely on Sky Moore, young dude who didn't really have a huge role in this offense last year. Kadarius Toney, who they traded for, who obviously didn't have a big role because even when he came over, he got injured. And Marcus Valdez-Scantling, who's just not a high percentage receiver. He's just, he had 81 targets last year. He caught 42 of them, right? It's like 51% catch rate for him. So he's just a throw it, bomb it downfield guy. Average reception last year was like over 16 yards. So just, he's not that dude either, right? So who is going to be that guy? Is it going to be Sky Moore? And that's really kind of what we look at here. And fellas, if you haven't done this little handy dandy thing, I cannot tell you enough how you want to go about this. NFL player props, you click on that. There's a bunch of articles here. And then if you go over here to the homepage of the site, see this player prop tool right there? Comes up. And then you can just type in anybody, and it's going to give you a rundown of what all the numbers look like out there. I don't think it's pulling Caesars correctly because this number is way off market. So we'll kind of look that it's sitting in this 44.5 to 45.5 range. I like the over on Sky Moore mainly because it's the dude that Patrick Mahomes has to know is the most upside of the receivers that he's going to be throwing to out there. And it's also at least a guy that was in the offense for a year, right? I mean, Marcus Valdez-Scantling was out there, but I just mentioned he's not like a dude that's going to get high volume, certainly not a guy that's going to get a lot of catches. Kadarius Toney certainly has a ton of talent. We've just never seen it because he's hadn't been able to stay on the field very long. So I think Sky Moore is going to be the de facto number one for this team, at least in the short term. I don't know if Rashee Rice, their draft pick, is going to end up getting a bunch of run. I don't know, what they're going to do with Justin Watson or anything like that. But I think at least for the short term, Sky Moore is their number one guy. And if we're sitting here at 44.5 yards, I mean, Patrick Mahomes his passing prop right now is 286 yards. So where are those yards going to go? I would think at least 50 of those go to Sky Moore. So I do like the over on Sky Moore from a receiving yardage standpoint here. But the other thing I did mention is with the absence of Chris Jones and with this rush defense not really performing all that well anyway, David Montgomery is pretty interesting. They signed this dude and they gave him some money, man. Like they gave him some money. Yeah, it's just not pulling Caesars correctly, but we've got these other numbers out here. I actually played the over 50.5 on David Montgomery. I think David Montgomery is probably going to be in for 14 or 15 carries in this thing. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is really going to be kind of eased into this offense, certainly from a rushing standpoint. I think he's going to catch some passes for sure. But I don't think he's going to be out there a ton running the ball. 6-7 carries maybe. So that leaves us at like 14, 15, 16 carries for David Montgomery. And we just got to get to 50 yards in this thing in an offense, in a rush defense last year that didn't get any better in the offseason and actually can only be exponentially worse if Chris Jones isn't out there. There's also the touchdown markets and things like that. If you want to go that route, I wouldn't hate it either. The anytime touchdown, as you can see, you can find a plus 115 on him. They've already established that he'll be the goal line back at least early on. And if you want to do like first touchdown stuff, like I know that's more fun. It's kind of a crapshoot stuff, but I mean, unless you can get 11-1 on him, and again, he's just as likely as anybody to score the first touchdown in this game. But I am on the over of 50.5, so definitely like the over 50.5 rush yards there for David Montgomery. So we're on the over on Sky Moore. We're on the over on David Montgomery. I know you think this is like all overs, but the only other thing that I do think is pretty interesting in this, if you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't really love the yardage here, but the receptions is fairly interesting. And you can see the over is still pretty low at minus 120 there on the 6.5. If we look, the other guys that are out on the field for Jared Goff in this offense, and I do think Sam Laporta, their rookie tight end, is going to get a decent amount of looks in this thing. I mean, if everything you hear from the beat writers and stuff that we saw, even in preseason, he's going to have a big role for this team. But Amon-Ra St. Brown was just a target monster last year for this team. 29% target share last season, and they're very high percentage throws as well. That's the other thing about this. Whenever he gets such an incredible amount of volume, but they're just really high percentage throws, it gets this number of 6.5, and you go, yeah, he could get you 8 or 9 catches and maybe even not get to these yardage deals because he's running 6, 7, 8 yard routes. So I'm more comfortable with the receptions on the over than I am the yardage on the over. But I do, listen, they're going to have to throw the ball some, even though I think they'll have success on the ground. And Amon-Ra St. Brown's just still going to be the target monster. There's no reason in the world he won't get the 30% target share basically that he got last year, especially with Jameson Williams not out there. It's Josh Reynolds. It's a declining Marvin Jones. And it's him. Again, Sam Laporta is going to get a few targets, but that's not going to cut into Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I do like that. Now, if we're talking unders, the unders for me are pretty interesting. And I'm looking more at the unders on the Chiefs side of the ball, specifically rush yardage on Jerick McKinnon. You can still find 17.5s out here, the under 17.5s. I think this game might play fairly close. And if this game plays fairly close, then McKinnon certainly is not going to get any run. It's going to be Pacheco, and it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, by the way, who's going to be in the mix with all of that. I definitely really like the under on McKinnon from a rushing yard standpoint. The other, I just mentioned Pacheco, and the reason I brought him up, I don't know if you guys paid attention to stuff in the offseason or not, but we are looking at a dude that was coming off of a shoulder injury. He only got like 2 carries in the preseason, didn't even do a ton of work in training camp and stuff. And it makes me believe they might actually kind of ease him in a little bit with Edwards-Helaire being healthy. There's no real reason to give a heavy workload to your, just coming back off of injury running back when you do have this other guy that can take some carries off of his hands. And so I think we see Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a handful more touches than everybody predicts in this thing. It's week 1, guys. We're going off of feel. We're going off of stuff that we're hearing out of training camp. We're going off of all these other things. We don't have any, hard evidence for all of this. So this is kind of like, hey, if you want to fade me on this or not pay attention, I totally, completely understand. But I'm just going with kind of the understanding that I do have for this team. And I do think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire might actually get a few more carries in this thing than we think, which would lead me towards an under again on Pacheco, certainly at the 51.5 rushing yards there. So kind of the unders on both of those dudes somewhere along the way. Now, if they end up posting receiving stuff for Noah Gray, as we just mentioned, I mean, listen, if it's somewhere in the 20 yards range, I think I'm probably going to play the over, right? I mean, again, he is a guy that is at least familiar, Patrick Mahomes is familiar with, a guy that he threw to when he was on the field. He basically threw to him when he was on the field. He just didn't play very much. And he caught a bunch of the balls he threw his way. So I'm going to be looking towards that with Noah Gray as well. Again, he played all he only played a handful of snaps, last year as it was. So those numbers aren't out yet though, because they're waiting on confirmation one way or another on Travis Kelce. So just something we'll have to monitor as we get up close to kickoff in this thing. Like I said, no real play on the if we look over here, even on DraftKings, you can take a look and see 4.5 and the 53. No real play on the spread here again, unless this thing gets under 4. Then I think you can come back in on the Chiefs side. I think that might have moved too much on the Kelce news then at that point. And if we see what we typically get in these standalone games, and this total gets to 55, I'll probably come in on the under as well with this, mainly because how much more efficient can this offense has to be less efficient without Kelce out there as it is anyway, from a Chiefs side. And listen, like I said, I think the Lions will have some success on the ground. If you're having success on the ground, obviously it runs clock a little bit more. And then further, maybe they want to play keep away from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes as well. So that's kind of where I stand on that. Guys, you can come in, get other viewpoints and everything and all that absolutely free over here on thelines.com. Again, all season long, everything absolutely free. And by the way, up here in this little right-hand corner, that's Discord. That is also free. Everyone going in, talking every sport, actually, that is going on all year long and giving their free thoughts on all of that as well. So be sure and take advantage of that. Everything on this channel is free. Everything we do is free, so please hit that subscribe button. Do appreciate it a ton. Can't wait to make some money with you guys this offseason. Good luck on all your Thursday night football bets.